Those who do not move do not feel their chains, but the African people aware of the pain, aware of the game, invader deception. Black presidents who are white man extensions. People from Cape to Cairo rebel, cause fake independence and ongoing hell. Colonial ties still keep them chained. The richest continents getting robbed again. The IMF and World Bank criminal schemes. What about reparations? To me it seems that every metropole from Amsterdam to Paris and Brussels was built with the hands of African labor, a slave relation. Developing Europe at expense of the nation. But Africans rebel from the first conquest to flag independence at last accomplished.
You better get your hands off Africa. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off Africa. You better get your hands off Africa. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off Africa.
Yeah, look at AFRICOM, the African command. That's the US and a puppet shaking each other's hands. They went in for Libya, going for Uganda. When will we learn we can't be sleeping any longer? Still salivating over claiming Zimbabwe. The worst man alive to them is Robert Mugabe. But land should belong to the African masses, not a small group of white settler bastards. My fellow Europeans wanna whine and groan about losing what we stole. That is not our home, that is not our land. Either choose the side of the future of humanity. The old is expired. If you ever want peace, then you better want justice. Most of the continent is far from accustomed. Sarkozy, Cameron, and Africa's son better know that their war can never ever be won.
You better get your hands off Africa. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off Africa. You better get your hands off Africa. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off.
Akala, listen. The mother continent where we all originate. Eugenics ain't dead, so it's cool to eliminate humanity's darkest shade. Genocidal AIDS, ancient civilizations. Not a continent of slaves, and every step of the way the elites have helped pave the way for all the madness that we're seeing today. But that in no way excuses the centuries of rape. But if we're gonna solve it, it's an issue we have to face, because every brother ain't a brother just cause of their color. Look at the hand that killed Patrice and Thomas and others, while millions murdered in the Congo. It don't make the news. But if a footballer's wife should buy a pair of shoes, I'm supposed to give a fuck. Apparently, I do not. The world's a reflection of your block. And if you think a world that profit from African death and be totally cool, thinks you're better cause you live here, you're a fucking
You
fool.
better get your hands off. Better get your hands off Africa. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off Africa. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off Africa. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off Africa. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off Africa. You better get your hands off. Better get your hands off.